Yeah, I think we did receive a letter. There's some concerns from some of the employees at the high school as to whether or not we can actually handle this through people in place and getting the information to access. That there has been a full-time EMIS secretary, and I guess when Amanda left, there were some things that weren't done that should have been done, which left some scrambling the last week of school, and still there's some things, I guess, in flux without somebody there for EMIS. So I think, my personal feeling is, as for the board, before we actually vote on this, I think maybe we should find out more information from the people who are trying to pull this together to see what is involved. I mean, I don't know particularly all the details that are involved in an EMIS secretary or an EMIS person's responsibilities, and to kind of slide over it and say that so-and-so can handle it. I think that I would be happier to vote on this if I knew a little bit more about what the responsibilities were and what's in place.
Is there any training that goes along with this, Ms. Viscount?
Sari and Mary both are welcome to attend EMIS training. Mary already has gone over and done her part,
right,
so that she knows what she's doing. It's the entering and withdrawing of students into the system, and then the report card. That's their responsibility. Everything else is going to be handled by EMIS over in Boardman.
But with the information that goes to EMIS, because we had talked about this before, and in talking to some people, when you're looking at that from a high school perspective, and you have students that take no two students probably have the same schedule, so there's scheduling issues. It's not the same thing between the grade school and the high school.
It's a discussion.
Yep. We're here obviously representing the High School Improvement Committee. We're the ones that submitted the letter to you originally to make you aware of some of the concerns we had. And since then, so you know, we would just like you to take the following into consideration before you decide that access is your best route. We talked to Lynette Brownlee last week and today just to kind of get a list of her duties. Basically what I asked her for is, what did you do every day? What did it look like? Were there things that we didn't know? And in addition to all of the things listed in the letter, some of the things that she pointed out, which you had already mentioned, were the attendance letters, because they have to be mailed out at the high school per class per period, because actually attendance counts per period, it doesn't count for the whole day. She helped out front with tardies, which that was an office thing, which I know that was one of the things we said. But then all of the big EMIS things, she did the guidance scheduling, she input homerooms, she scheduled the elementary, she did report cards for the whole district. If there were problems with grades, she would correct them on her end, unless, of course, it was something too big, in which case she would turn in a ticket and then correct it on her end. So pretty much it was always done in-house. One of the big things she said that she is concerned about is she had to help a lot of parents with our Parent Assist. One of the big things that we pushed for is for parents to check their students' grades online. And if there's an issue with the online Parent Assist, she was the one that handled that. So she would go on, and whether it was a login or anything like that, she would correct that. And that's also an issue for our students, too, because if we're asking our students to check our grades, we need someone who can also help with that. She was responsible for honor roll, merit roll, the athletes' grades and eligibility. She copied diplomas for folders. The big thing is apparently next school year there are big changes in school funding, and with that there's no such thing as enrollment week anymore. Instead, withdrawals and new arrivals are going to have to be entered automatically. And she said that would be a concern for her not to have somebody right here. Third grade reading guarantee data, tracking kids who go to the community schools or online schools. She has to keep track of those students, because if not, again, we lose that funding. She did mention that in every county or district in our county that she knows of, there is an EMIS person on site, even if it's the superintendent's secretary. So, I mean, I don't know how true that is, but she said from her knowledge and from her meetings that she noticed, that's what she knew. She's also responsible for creating calendars, gearing grades, placing the kids that were in ESC units and bringing them back and drawing that data, running final data rankings once she gets those from the ESC, and once she gets the MCC-TC kids, she has to do one final data ranking and keep all of those reports for auditing purposes. She has to withdraw all the seniors, mark their diplomas and their diploma dates, run grade levels for the folders, Also, verify reports from states regularly. She said she gets those every so often and has to update them. And another biggie is she's responsible for the highly qualified for us as teachers, for the staff. So those are the things that she lists for her major duties as a person. I don't know if that will help your decision or not, but that's what we can find. And thank you for your time.
I came in, I want to say 2 weeks ago, and asked for my daughter's cumulative GPA, and Mr. Corby emailed them. Last year we came in and Lynette was here and she pulled it out and showed us. Mr. Corby has emailed them. He has tried. We have not heard back. So that's just another thing that was so nice last year. And I mean, that may not be a big deal to anybody asking for a cumulative GPA, but we did. Last year we walked in. Lynette stood there and showed it to us, and now there's no one in the office to do that. Mr. Corby has emailed, corresponded, tried to get that information from us, and that was 2 weeks ago at least, and we haven't heard back, and it was not for his lack of trying. He has done his part.
Trying to get the information from Access?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
How about if I get a motion to table this so we can discuss it? Is there a motion to table?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Mr. Hill, call the roll, please.
Mrs. Cruzen?
Yes.
Mrs. McFerrin?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.